Hello, good afternoon, and you're very welcome to Maynooth University Virtual Open Day. My name is Sheila Purcell. I work in the admissions office, and I'm delighted today to be hosting the Education Degrees at Maynooth webinar. And my panelists are waiting in the wings here, delighted to talk to you and to present to you and to answer all of your questions on teaching degrees at Maynooth. We'll just wait a moment or two to see if there's more attendees joining us. So we'll just give it a moment. I know some people are coming from the other webinars. We've got a jam-packed morning of webinars and then Q&A sessions this afternoon. So I hope you've been enjoying the open day so far. Thank you very much for coming along. So I think I'll introduce my panelists now. I'm delighted from the Frebel Department of Primary and Early Education, Niamh Fortune. She'll be giving a presentation on primary teaching at Maynooth. Hi, Niamh.
Hello, good morning. I'm delighted to be here.
Thanks, Niamh. And Jack Mccormick is a student learning to be a primary teacher at the moment. So thanks, Jack, for joining us as well this morning.
Morning, everybody. Thank you, Sheila. I'm also delighted to be here.
Great. And Jessie Puzzle is the course leader for the science education degree. So if you're interested maybe in becoming a science teacher, a maths teacher, computer science teacher at secondary level, Jessie will tell you all you need to know there.
Thanks, Sheila.
Great. And joining Jessie is Joseph, who is a student of science education. Hi, Joseph.
Morning, everybody. Delighted to be here.
Great. And then last but not least, we've got Annette will be giving a presentation on early childhood education. Thanks, Annette, for joining us.
Hi, everybody. Delighted to be here.
And Annette will welcome a student of early childhood, Antoinette. So Antoinette, thank you very much for being here today as well and talking about the degree.
No problem. Good morning, Sheila.
So I can see we've got plenty of attendees here. So I think we'll get started. Niamh, would you like to start with the primary teaching degree and share your screen? Thank you very much, Niamh. And please, everybody, we have a Q&A function. If you've got any questions you'd like to ask Niamh that strike you during her presentation or after her presentation, please go into the Q&A box at the bottom of your screen and write any of your questions, and Niamh will address them as soon as she's finished, or she might even be addressing them during the presentation. You might find they're answered. So please do tune in, and thank you very much, Niamh.
Thank you. You can see the screen okay there, everybody?
Yeah, it's perfect. Niamh.
Thanks, Sheila. So delighted to be here today and to talk to you a little bit about Frebel. So there are two routes into primary school teaching, as you may know. We have a wonderful 4-year B.Ed degree, which leads to primary school teaching. And we also have a PM.Ed Master's 2-year program. So if you have completed a primary degree, you can then join us. We interview our candidates and you can come in through the PM.Ed program. So just to give you an idea there of the entry requirements, you can see them on the screen. We're going to be focusing in on the B.Ed today. So the H4 in Gaeilge, Ordinary 4 or H7 in Mathematics, Ordinary 4 or H7 there in English, and roughly the CAO points are 499, and as we all know, they can change on a yearly basis. So we also have the B.Ed mature route. So if you're thinking about joining us as mature students, we welcome you. And you can see there on the slide that there is an application process through the CAO also. So moving on to give you all the great news about Frebel. You can see on the slide there the PM.Ed program, just in case there's any of our audience thinking about the 2-year master's program. And obviously you attend an interview and those numbers change on a yearly basis. So you can see the requirements that are necessary there for the Professional Masters of Education. Okay, so moving on, I suppose it's important to say that our graduates in the B.Ed are completely qualified to teach in primary schools. So the FREBL department fully trains you. It's recognised by the Department of Education and Skills and fully recognised by the Teaching Council. So it's a 4-year degree, and you are also qualified, not that we want to send you abroad, but if you decide to go internationally, you're also qualified. So completely qualified to teach any class in the primary, infants right up to 6th class. So you're probably wondering, well, maybe you've done a little bit of research on Friedrich Frebel, a very important person. We're very proud that our name of the department is after Friedrich Frebel. Who was he, and why have we got our department called after him? He was a pioneering educator and philosopher, founder of the kindergarten movement, so you might have heard of kindergartens. He was really very passionate, and we are too, about active learning, play, very much based on child-centered learning and the holistic development of the child. So we're really proud that we hold that name as part of our the name of the department, and very much that ethos and values are central to everything that we do in the department. We have small groups. The students are very involved in active learning and even a bit of play. We don't say that too often, but we have great fun in active workshops and small groups. Just to give you an idea there of the Frebel gifts, Frebel designed these beautiful gifts, and you can see his Frebel blocks in action there, used in a lot of schools across the country and beyond internationally, and they're based on Frebel's gifts and his blocks there. So we have a wonderful BEd that we think is pretty fantastic. We have it based on different strands. So we have 4 different strands as part of the BEd. So just to give you a very quick idea here, obviously there's lots more on our website, under the Maynooth website in the Frebel department, you can see more information. So in that first strand, we have what we study, the psychology, the language studies, history of education, philosophy, sociology, and inclusive education. And they're developed across the 4 years of the degree. So that gives you a really good understanding of the way children learn, of the history of education and inclusive education, including all children. In the second strand, we have the competencies, which is building students' confidence and competence. We are very passionate. I'm very proud of the fact that our students leave with high competency and confidence in English, Gaeilge, maths, and all areas. So the strand 2 of the BEd includes developing the students' own ability in English, Gaeilge, and maths. And we also have other electives in year 3 and year 4, where the students can choose elective areas that they'd like to improve in, and upskilling in year 1 and 2, where they can choose areas that they feel they need to upskill in. So we very much pride ourselves on students having that choice and autonomy to choose areas that they would like to build in their own confidence and skills. Strand 3 then are the methodology subjects, a long list, if you can see them on the slide there, a long list of methodology subjects, and they're in line with the primary school curriculum. So we take very small groups, active groups, lots of play, lots of fun, and we teach our students how to teach these subjects in the primary school curriculum. So we have Momuncha na Gaeilge, which is the teaching of Irish, the teaching of Gaeilge, English methods, which is the one I teach, so teaching of reading, writing, and language. Maths methods, so the teaching of maths, religious education, arts education, and Jack can even tell you a little bit more about that. You'd hear a recorder being played from many rooms and lots of wonderful visual arts and art workshops happening. Social personal health education, physical education, so you actually do get a chance to do a little bit of gymnastics and play and games. Social environmental scientific education, which is our history, geography, and science. So you have great fun and workshops developing skills in SCSE. Professional development, yourself as a teacher, and part of that course would even be things like classroom management and organising yourself, going out on placement and organising and planning for placement. And then ICT and primary teacher education, which has really come to the fore the last 18 months, developing students' ability to use digital education and ICT in education. The last strand then is school placement. We always have lots of questions about this one, so I'll just take a minute on it. We've 36 weeks of school placement throughout the 4 years. We have a variety of placements. Some the students source and some are sourced by the department. And they're in a variety of settings, which is, it's a really well scaffolded, structured, supportive system throughout the 4 years. So you can see on the slide there the way we organize it. In year 1, it starts very quickly with the students just observing. So you're out observing an infant classroom, nearly acting like a support to the classroom teacher. Then you go off in January for 3 weeks and you teach just 3 lessons. So we take it nice and slowly. Year 2, then you go off in a second class in a paired placement setting. So again, we're supporting you to work with another student. And we start then building your skills to teach every day, or every day, I should say, all day, every day on that placement. You also get a chance to go into Gael School, which is a great experience. And a lot of students after that are very passionate about the teaching of Gaeilge and want to work in Gael schools themselves. So we build up those skills over the 4 years. You can see into year 3, you have 5th, 6th class, and again, 3 weeks. You go back to infants in 3rd year to build your skills working with the younger children. You have an Scn experience, so working with children with additional needs. And then into a long block, which Jack completed this year, and he might tell you a little about, is the Scn and Mainstream Placement. So 10 weeks in a school where you really get to know the way a school works, building up to Christmas time, and you get involved in the school in the lead up, all the exciting things that happen in the lead up to Christmas. So it's a very extensive amount of time spent in schools, and again, some of them sourced by us and some sourced by the student. Just moving on now, there's lots of opportunities, and maybe some of our audience today are thinking about going abroad. In 3rd year, September to Christmas, just for that first semester, you have the chance to visit lots of wonderful countries. You can see them on the slide there. And a lot of our students take up that opportunity. I know at the moment travel has been curtailed a little, but hopefully we'll get back to lots of students embracing that chance to an opportunity to visit countries abroad. I'm going to let Jack come in now in a minute and tell you a little bit about, I suppose, beyond what I see. I'm only there teaching. I don't get the inside track of what really happens when you're a student in Freble. So I'll let Jack come in now for a few minutes and then I'll come back and just finish. Thanks, Jack.
Thank you, Niamh. So yeah, good afternoon, everybody. So my name is Jack Mccormick, and I'm just after finishing the 4-year B.Ed program. So I suppose I'm here to talk about the Freble student experience, a very well-rounded student experience, I have to say. So first of all, I suppose, just in terms of the facilities on campus, so kind of in the middle of vast expansion of Maynooth, so the campus is being developed at the minute, so a really good time, I believe, to enter Maynooth University. The last 18 months, I have to say, were a little bit disappointing for me, so it's great that everybody here will be getting the full experience without COVID, hopefully. So yeah, we have a state-of-the-art library, kind of an array of lecture theatres, gyms, restaurants, all you could ask for, I suppose, in that regard. And then just in terms of, I know we have here is a photo of our Gaeltacht placement. So Culture Gaelge Onaláger Roin Freble. So Guy to of Jarfox. So we're all pretty positive about Gaelge, which is nice. And the one thing is, I suppose, is that if you're not confident in Irish, or if you're a little bit anxious, is not be bored, because really everybody is here to kind of offer support and to develop your competencies. And it really is. So in 1st and 2nd year, if you're worried about your maths or your Irish or your English, there's kind of a wide range of electives that you can take to support yourself in kind of small peer groups. And just in terms of, I suppose, kind of a very strong sense of blending theory with practice. So you'll have your lectures and then you'll have your 36 weeks of placements, which, Niamh, I can't believe that. It doesn't feel like, that's such a long period of time, I suppose, to be in schools. But yeah, it's all very beneficial. I know that, Niamh, you mentioned the Gael School placement, so I know we were all kind of very anxious, I suppose. Myself, I'm not really from a Gael School background. I kind of went to English medium schools, so it can be very daunting, I think, going into a Gael School. But at the end of the day, I think once you're kind of positive and organised, the kids are the most important thing, I suppose. So that's one plus. Number 3, I suppose, here in front of us is the Gaeltacht. So my dhéanann tú cursa Freble, so caithfidh tú gá tréis fellama a dhéanamh sa Gaeltacht. So you have to do 2 fortnights in the Gaeltacht. So usually they take place in 2nd and 3rd year. Unfortunately, we kind of had to have a really drastic change this year. So we actually done the Gaeltacht online. which was maybe not quite as fun, but still nevertheless engaging, and was actually, I think we had expectations that it might not have been as much fun, but it was actually nevertheless really a good experience. Just then, I suppose, like what myself and Joseph are doing here, there's a range of opportunities for student engagement with campus events. So obviously, like open days, in the past I've went to higher options. So kind of really, really nice ways for personal and professional development. Finally, I'll just mention Cabaret for Calcutta. So we have our Hope partnership with Frebel. So it's a partnership that I believe was developed about a decade ago now, Niamh. And so it's kind of a partnership between the Irish education system and the education system of India. So unfortunately, it was cut short for myself, but we're hoping to get next year with the current 4 years then. But we would usually go over to India for 4 weeks as a small cohort. And I suppose just help the local children of the areas in Calcutta. So obviously they would have the opportunities that we would be afforded. They wouldn't have the same privileges. So I think that's really good. You're kind of developing professionally and also giving back to kind of a wider community. I think that should be everything for now, Niamh. If anybody has any questions, you can just pop them into the Q&A box. I'll be delighted to answer them.
Great. Thanks, Jack. Thanks a million. So we're just finished now on our Frebel presentation. As Jack mentioned, we're delighted with our beautiful building. It feels like a new building, although we're there a few years. You can see it in the picture. We have fabulous dedicated spaces, teaching seminar rooms. We take groups in small 30, usually about 30 students. So we've music and drama spaces, visual arts studios, maths and science rooms, a wonderful early childhood room that I know my colleagues will be mentioning, I'm sure. A children's roof garden, IT suite, study spaces, resource rooms, PE hall and classroom just a few minutes away from our main building. So we're really very lucky and we're very proud of all these wonderful spaces that we have. As Jack has mentioned, we have a very vibrant and dynamic student experience, which I hope you'll all come to Maynooth and experience. Just to say, I suppose, if you're thinking, obviously the obvious is that you'll be qualified as a primary school teacher, but on the slides there you can see there's lots of other options beyond teaching. So a lot of our graduates would maybe start in primary school teaching, and some might decide then to go into other areas, including maybe an educational psychologist. You could go on and do a postgraduate course then, and there's lots of other opportunities for you. So as Jack's mentioned, we're here to answer any questions, and we leave it there. And I hope we'll see many of people here today with us in September in Frebel. Thank you.
Thank you, Niamh, and thank you very much, Jack, as well. And Niamh, you mentioned that the department is very, I suppose, passionate about students and about teaching, and I think your passion came across there. So thank you for that. And a few things struck me there. You mentioned the modules on ICT, and I think a lot of us who are homeschooling primary school children just realised the benefits, and we could see the difference between teachers who had some ICT competence and those who didn't. So very, very appropriate, and thanks for the presentation. There's just one or two questions in there, Niamh, and you might like to type in the answers then, because we're going to move on to Jessie, if you're okay, Jessie, to share your screen and to tell us all about secondary teaching of science, computer science and maths.
Okay, thanks, Sheila. I'm going to leave this, and I want to thank Niamh too for such a great presentation. There are some things I don't have to talk about now, such as how great our building is and our community and everything. So thank you for that. And I like your slides better than our slides. I'll just give you a little bit of background. I'm coming from Canada, and so I've worked in 2 universities in Canada as well as the United States. And I have to say that the education departments, plural, here at Maynooth are fantastic. And I couldn't recommend them high enough. So I just wanted to say that before I begin. So I'm going to just go through the overview of our program, and I'm not going to go into too much detail about what we teach. It's just basically an overview, but I'll try to do it as best I can. And then I'm going to bring Joseph in at the very end to talk about the student experience, and Joseph is going to end the presentation. So that's how we're going to do ours. The first slide here, and I want to just point to the person in the lower left. That's Zarin Kusik-Dagonka, and she's in charge of the 3rd and 4th year of the BSc Ed program. I'm in charge of the 1st and 2nd year. And She and I basically run the program, and we sort of administer it and manage it. And so you will get to work with Zarin and me when you come. So I'm going to just move on to talk about what I'm covering today. So basically just some of our course options and an overview of how the program is structured and some of the things that you can know in a sort of in an overview kind of way about the program. So things that you need to know coming right out of the Leaving Cert into the program, or if you're a mature student coming into the program. So we have different choices, different kind of, we call them course choices. And one is just the BSc, so with education, that's science. So you would take some various science courses, most likely the ones you're going to teach in schools. Then we have a BSc with mathematics and computer science. And then we have a BSc with mathematics and applied mathematics. And we also have a route in our department. If you wanted to do a degree in science right away without any education, you can come back after that and do a professional Master of Education. But the idea with that route is that it's 6 years and the BSc Ed is 5 years. So the BSc Ed is the best value for your money and time. But some people need to take more time when they decide to become a teacher. I did a science degree first, and then I became a teacher afterwards, a school teacher. The entry requirements for the program, they're high. And as a Canadian, I have no idea the significance of what these entry requirements are. I've tried to learn them, but they're here and they're on our website. And if you have questions about them, you can email our department. I'll show you the email addresses at the end, and they can answer these questions a little bit better about entry requirements. And it's a very popular course, and we're always, like the other departments, turning students away, but we have expanded our numbers. So we're excited to have more students this year than we did last year. Of course, it makes teaching more difficult, but we're excited for our program to grow. And yeah. So the basic overview of the course, and this is, I think, important to understand as a first-year student, is that there are 4 years to our program, and then you do a 5th year as a master's year. And you come out with a professional master's of education, and you're qualified to teach. And in your first year, you do basically all science or all math, or a combination of math and science. It's always a combination of math and science, but it's different for each program. And so you do 60 credits in math and science, and you have an education module that's not for credit, that you have, it's scheduled every other week, but sometimes we run it every week, where you get together as a cohort and you come in and we introduce different people in the department and different topics to you about education, just get you connected to the world of education while you're doing your science degree. So one of the key things about doing a BSc Ed program, or even doing becoming a science teacher, is that the subject areas are really important for science and math teaching, because I'm a transdisciplinary kind of person. I love different disciplines. However, when you're learning to become a science or math teacher, you have a different kind of attachment to those very high content rich disciplines. And so a lot of the program is intensive around the sciences and the math. And the good thing about being an education student is you do it together. So I worked with both the first and second year cohorts this year, and they are a tight network of students that get through their exams, get through everything, get through the pandemic together. They actually helped me get through the pandemic this year. So anyway, so moving on, and your second year, you'll start to take education classes. You'll take 40 credits of science or math and 20 credits of education. And that continues in the third year and the fourth year. So it's a mixture of education and science and math. And when you get to your 5th year, it's all education. And that's true for the various programs for the BSc Ed Maths, BSc Ed Computer Science. So there's a computer science option, which is really exciting. We don't have that many students in it, but we're looking to get more. And I should say that at the end of your you'll select a stream. And at the end of your first year, you can always change it. So if you suddenly develop a love for computer science, or you want to go into maths exclusively and not science, You can change after your first year. In fact, I don't think you have a hard selection actually until after your first year. It doesn't really matter too much. Sometimes you can even change after your second year. You'll just have to do a little bit of catch up in either math or computer science. But the basic structure of the course is relatively the same for whatever strand you choose. School placement is the most beloved part of the program. So, and as education professors, we struggle with the idea that we're teaching you such great things, really ethical ways of seeing the world, but students desire to get in there with children and work with kids. And so we have a lot of school placement in this program. It starts off in year 2 with just observing 1 day a week in the second semester. And sometimes you get a chance to teach. I actually had some students teach formally in the second year, but that varies. And you shouldn't expect it, but in the second year, you're mostly observing. And in year 3, you start teaching 1 day a week for the whole year. So you go in, and I think it starts in October, and you observe for the first month, and then by November, you're teaching once a week till the end of the year. And these are evaluated by really high quality tutors who come in and observe your teaching. And then in the 4th year, you start to have these blocks of teaching where you get to go into the school every day. And not all the time, but just at the beginning of the year, and then I think halfway through the year, and then you still have teaching days all through the year. And in the PME, it intensifies, and you have multiple teaching days per week in a school. And by then, and I've worked with PME students, master's students this year, by then I felt I was talking to real qualified teachers. And I had to remind myself, oh yeah, they're actually students, but they conduct themselves as if they were teaching for 4 or 5 years. So it's a very rich program, and the placement is a really important part of it. So in terms of qualifications, basically you graduate from the program after 5 years, and you're fully qualified to teach in those subjects you've chosen. After 4 years, you can leave the program and get a BSc with education. And some students do that, maybe 1 or 2 per year, and they go on to do things like master's degrees, etc. Thanks. Oh, she's bringing me a tea. This is great. Thanks. I did request that. Thank you. So not many students do that, but it does happen. Some students actually come back and do research with us and continue the academic route after the program. And I want to just echo something that Neve said. There are a lot of different options that you can do after the courses. So because we offer professional programs, you don't have to teach with it. My wife, who just brought the tea in for me, she became a counselor, so a professional counselor, because she used the education from her education degree to go into other fields in the social sciences, and she came out being a professional counselor. So there's lots to do, and it's just the beginning. So I just wanted to stress that. I'm not going to go into the subjects that you're taking, but basically, whatever program you pick, there's specific subjects related to it. So in BSc Ed Science, there's biology, chemistry, physics. We don't have agricultural science, but this is something that you might be able to pick up outside of our program, which I know a couple that have gone that graduated and picked up that science. And yeah, I've sort of covered this. There are lots of options within the program. If you change your mind, you can go to the sciences. If you change your mind after 1 year, after 4 years, and as Neve said, there's lots of different ways to maneuver after any education degree, ours included. We do have offered some opportunities to travel abroad. Of course, I've only been here during the pandemic, so I haven't seen these, but I am, and people that work in this program are very supportive of this. And hopefully you'll have a chance to do some things. And you can always generate those ideas. I shouldn't say this maybe, but you can always generate those ideas as a group, because as Joseph might say, the cohorts are very tight. The social cohesion in these cohorts is huge. And you might come up with ideas that you want to do as a professional group that our department may be able to support. Okay, almost done. So great features about this course, and I'm speaking as someone coming from the outside in. The students that I've worked with have been the best I've taught ever in my career so far in higher education. And the class sizes are getting bigger, but it still feels small because we employ pedagogies that take advantage of small group learning, etc. And we give you lots of choice. There is a really tight community in the BSc Ed, and it kind of feels like a family. Like, I have to say, even though that might seem a little bit weird, it kind of does actually feel like a family. And the school placement lasts over the course of 4 years. So you really get used to school before it's time to go out and actually teach. In terms of questions, you can always email me, jesse.bazul@mu.ie. We also have a generic email for things like qualifications and admission requirements, science.educationdepartment@mu. That's the best one to use. And also Zaren's email is there. You can find us on the department website too. And now I'm going to turn it over to Joseph, though. I'd like Joseph. Joseph, could you mind just talking a little bit about your experience in the program? I believe you're in 3rd year. Am I right?
Hi, Jesse. Thanks. Yeah, I'm just after finishing 3rd year.
Okay.
Just to introduce myself again,
Sure.
I am doing biology and physics. So 1st year, you kind of go into maths, you do your physics and chemistry and biology, just to cover the basis. And don't worry if you feel like you're not that good at maths. We have a brilliant math support center, which gives you free maths grinds essentially and helps you get up to that level. In chemistry, we made aspirin one time. It was really, really cool. And I remember in biology, we were doing DNA profiling, which is heavily in forensic science. What I'd say is, if you're coming in, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure you explore everything that's there to be offered to you. I remembered I wanted to be a biology and chemistry teacher. I was adamant on it. I sat into a physics lecture and I thought it was so interesting how this is like how the world works and stuff like that. So I actually changed from chemistry to physics because I just loved it so much. We do amazing different modules as well. We certainly recently did a module with Dr. Sean Henry. It's the Foundations of Educational Thinking, and we explored the aspects of LGBTQ, racism, sexism as well, all within the classroom. And it was so interesting because we don't really think or talk about these things. So it's nice. And we had different students give their views, and you get more of appreciation from more people there. And we do science methods as well. We look up very cool simulations and how to basically make teaching interesting and beneficial to students. All your lectures, I've had no problem with them. They've been approachable, they're understandable, so don't be afraid to ask them questions. Also, your first day teaching placement, you will never forget it. I could tell you what degrees it was outside as well. I just had such a rush coming home. I felt like I was on a high. It's amazing, absolutely amazing. And even doing that year-long school placement was amazing as well. You really got to know the kids, meet other colleagues, so teachers and etc. And they provide as much experience for you. They're there to help you as well. So it's amazing. Lastly, I would say don't be afraid to get involved in clubs and SOCs to make friends and anything like that. We have the Education Society. I've been a member for that for the last 3 years, and it's fantastic. We are always discussing like different events, and like if you ever needed help, or say you didn't know how to teach a certain topic, don't be afraid to ask us. Or if you want anything that you just want to know about, just give us a text or just send us a question. Honestly, we're there to help you as well. And I think that's everything, Jesse. I hope I covered everything for that there now.
You did. I loved it. And, you know, thanks for mentioning the Education Student Society, which is it's sort of a body of students that sort of looks after things, gets people involved in different issues, and also speaks up for student issues in the program. And so it makes it more of a democratic kind of experience. So thanks, Joseph. Sheila, I think that's it.
Okay, great. Thank you very much, Jesse, and thank you, Joseph. And I think, Jesse, you really honed in there on I suppose, the work placement and the value. You cannot underestimate the value of the work placement that our students, as you say, they come across as so professional after they've spent so much time in the school setting. And I think, Joseph, I really appreciate you mentioning how the staff are so approachable. And I think across all subjects and all degrees at Maynooth, I think our students will really say all of the staff are very approachable and easy to access and very helpful. So thanks for mentioning that. We'll move on to early childhood. So Annette Kearns is going to take us through her early childhood teaching and learning presentation, and then Antoinette is going to give us some of the student perspective. So thank you very much, Annette and Antoinette.
Okay. Right, is that sharing?
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, go back there. Sorry. 2 seconds. I have to move it back to the other screen if I can. No, I can't. Okay. We just have to leave it where it's at. I'm not looking away from the screen, folks. From you, I'm looking at another screen to the side because I don't seem to be able to shift it. So I'll make a start anyway. So today, what we're going to be looking at is just a little bit of the background to the degree, the details and general information around it, something on the module content, fees, criteria and procedures for application, and then maybe looking at some of the pathways that might be available to you afterwards. And my name is Annette Kearns, and I'm the placement coordinator for both our programs now, because we're beginning a new program, which I'll come to. So Niamh spoke a little around the Frebel department and where we got our name. And she told you that Frebel was a German educator. And we incorporate his ideology in all of our programs. So I suppose essentially what we aim to do is to teach you how we would like you to teach the children. So we are, modeling all the time how we expect you to work within the classrooms. It doesn't matter what age group the child is. And our programs cover a broad range of relevant and interesting modules, and the specific focus on building a strong foundation among students to lead excellence in pedagogical practices within early childhood settings. So the department, initially we developed a 3-year part-time level 8 honours degree programme in response to the sector's demand. Up to 10 years ago, when our program began, there were no part-time early childhood degrees. So educators already working within the sector didn't have an opportunity to upskill unless they left their job and went back to work, to college full-time to upskill. So at the time, we developed the degree. Frebel and IPPA, who were the organisation at the time and are now Early Childhood Ireland, developed the degree for the sector to enable all of those who had years of experience to gain their degree qualification. So it was up until now a 3-year degree, but with the professionalising of the sector, the degree is now moving on to become a 4-year degree programme, as in from well, our part-time degree, we've one more outing with it as a 3-year degree. So this year's students coming in September matures, the part-time degree students will do 3 years, but they come with a level 6 for the most part under their belt already. And our new 4-year degree is beginning. So we will have our 4-year part-time, our full-time degree is beginning in September. So we're starting out afresh with this whole new degree path. So the aim of our degrees, both of them, is to bring multiple and critical perspectives to the fore in the preparation of early child professionals, so that they have a real understanding of teaching and learning coming from that Froebelian ideology. And we're looking to develop graduates who are competent, reflective practitioners, because unless you become reflective in your practice, you can't continue to improve all of the time. You need to be able to reflect on what you do on a daily basis. So we spend a lot of time with our students developing that skill of reflection to enable them to, on an ongoing basis, improve their practice. Just briefly to show you the qualifications, you'll all know this, you'll all be very, very familiar with this anyway. You'll see where your leaving cert is coming in there at a level 5, but the level 8 degree is further up the framework there. Okay, so just to run through what you would be covering over the 4 years of the degree. What we like to do within the early childhood degree programs is to sandwich the most important modules either side of the smaller credit modules. So each year you will do 6 5-credit modules. Reflective practice, as I already said to you, that is a vital importance to becoming a good educator. And that's worth 10 credits, and that runs for the whole year. Professional practice, again, as Niamh spoke about, the emphasis on placement within Froebel. Our placement practice is worth 20 credits, and it spans the whole year as well. Within the middle of those, then, we have an introduction in the first year to child psychology, introduction to social and legal, introduction to curriculum and pedagogy, health and well-being for infants and toddlers. So that'll be focusing on the birth to 3 years, children birth to 3 years, inclusion in early childhood, and philosophy, culture, and constructions of early childhood. So that's first year. I'll speak to you about the actual placement at the end of these module descriptions. Second year, here we go again. We have reflective practice and professional practice. The difference is each year we will have a different emphasis. So reflective practice this year is about integrating theory and practice. Professional practice in first year, I should have mentioned, was around developing observation skills. Professional practice in second year the main focus is on developing interaction skills. Then the modules in between there that will take place over the course of the year, the 5-credit modules: learning and development practices, building relationships with children, families and communities, exploring curriculum and pedagogy, health and well-being again, and this is now with the focus on the over 3s, children's spaces and play, and we do a lot of play. Your 3 modules, again, this time for reflective practice, the focus is on the educator as a change agent, and professional practice, the focus is on, remind me, Antoinette, what's the focus in second year? I can't remember, to come back to me. And then in between, then we have learning and development again is a thread that comes through every year. In third year, then you're looking at social justice, ethics and diversity, supporting inquiry and acting the curriculum, community as context, because no child is alone. Every child resides within a community, and that community impacts on them. So we're looking at community as context, the social and legal context of childhood. Wherever you go, whatever you do, you're going to have to know what the social and legal contexts are within your profession, and supporting creativity and imagination. Third year then, or fourth year rather then, educator as action researcher, and professional practice, the focus is on professionalism and leadership, developing professionalism and leadership skills. Again, the learning and development challenges. So now we're beginning to look, we've come through the 3 years looking at learning and development. Now we're going to look at a module that introduces challenges that may be encountered in the classroom. So looking at those additional needs that some children and additional supports that some children may need in order to level the playing field for them. Leadership and management, curriculum and pedagogy, literacy, numeracy and scientific inquiry, dominant discourses. That's a really, really interesting module because we get to look around the world at what's happening in early childhood in every other country. And then transitions in the early years, because not only are there minor transitions on a day-to-day basis, but children then move from preschool into primary, and that's a major transition for children. So we look at how we support the children through all of those transitions, building their resilience in all of that. So 2 degrees, part-time degree, full attendance at class is expected. Tuesdays and Thursdays are the 2 evenings of the degree. First years and second years on the current degree operate on a Tuesday night and third years on a Thursday night. There's also 1 Saturday a month and 2 block weeks in the year, 1 at the Halloween break and 1 in February. The full-time degree is the new one starting now, as I said, in September. It will run with the usual university timetable, and it will bring with it everything else that the FREBA department offers to its students. Fees for the full-time degree, you have the registration fee, and for the part-time degree, there is a fee of a similar amount, around €3,000 per year, which are eligible for tax relief. So placement then, just to give you an overview of the placement, all students on the part-time course have to undertake a minimum of 300 hours placement in a setting, plus 15 hours in an alternative setting. The purpose of the alternative setting is a considerable number of our students on the part-time degree are actually employees in settings. So the alternative placement is where they have to take an opportunity to move to a different setting where they work with a different age group of children. They should work with a different curriculum because there's various different curricula that are implemented within early year settings, and a different management structure, so that it could be a private creche, a private preschool, a private community creche, a franchised creche. You know, there's all the different management structures as well. And everything that goes on inside the 4 walls impacts on what happens with the children. So we like our students to get a full flavour of that. For the new full-time degree, the placement hours will be 420 hours. In first year, we'll be asking students to source their own placement that will have to be validated by us. We'll have to ensure that the setting is TUSLA notified and that their inspection reports are as they should be. In subsequent years, students will be placed. But as I say, for the moment, we're just talking about the first year in the new full-time degree. The students are assessed on placement. This 400 hours will be in blocks, 3 different 2 to 3 week blocks, and that will help them complete those 400 hours. But there's also a number of 1 day a week observation sessions on site that they will be taking part in as well. Okay, so criteria for application, the Leaving Cert, as you know, any of you out there who are looking at it, it's a new course, so the points have been set at around the 347. However, applications will impact on that, as you know, the way it operates is the points will go up or down accordingly. You need 6 Leaving Cert subjects, including Irish and English. Irish isn't compulsory. Ability to complete your placement in a TUSLA notified setting, and you have to be able to secure Garda vetting across all of our programs, and that's right across all of the education programs. All the students have to be able to secure the Garda vetting. The mature applicants are over 21, a minimum of 3 years experience in practice, ability to complete the placement, and possess sufficient language literacy, numeracy and ICT skills to enable them to partake in the programme. But there's also an interview that is the final say on whether you're offered a place or not. And again, the Garda vetting. FETAC and QQI students follow the same line. They apply through with their FETAC qualification, and they have to be able to complete the placement, have the sufficient skills to partake as well. The career options then within the sector, the Maynooth Early Childhood degree is known as a very high quality degree, and a number of our students have gone on to secure places with other relevant qualifications as required, and that's increasing all of the time now because of the increased professionalising of the sector. But some of our past students would be TUSLA inspectors, DES inspectors. They would be with Better Start, with the AIM programme, working with early years in the county childcare committees. Some of the non-voluntary childcare organisations. So there's lots and lots of avenues to go. But of course, we want you to stay in the settings with the children. We want the children to be benefiting from all of your education. We don't want you to get this and then move off out into the sector as an advisor, because what we're hoping to do is, and what the sector has demanded, and the government has set a target of 30% of all students of all settings by 2024, I think it is, will have a graduate-led workforce. So, I mean, we're getting there, we're moving on. And also they can apply then for any further education. You can go on and do a master's, you can go on in anything, depending on the requirements of that programme. And once you achieve the appropriate grade within our programme as well. If you wanted to go on to do primary teaching, you have to have the requirements as well that meet that. So you would have to have Irish. So you can have your degree, and if you have your Irish, then you're eligible to apply for the programme. Antoinette is a second year student. It's just completed second year with us. And so Antoinette's going to just have a quick word with you now around, I suppose, the opportunities that she has found within the programme to inform her practice and to improve on, excuse me, what she's doing and how she's doing it in a setting as things stand. Antoinette?
Hi, Annette. Thanks a million. First of all, as Annette said, I've just finished my second year in the early childhood teaching. I work full time in a setting for the last 21 years, which was ideal for me to start the part-time degree. Been lucky enough that we've had 1 year on campus, and then obviously COVID hit.
No.
And
I'm
now
afraid
we second year in fairness, but the students and the tutors. It was ideal that we got the support there to adapt to the online learning, which was brilliant. So please God, come September, we'll be back on campus again. The part-time course, as I said, for me was ideal. It's our class at the moment is a fab mixture of mature students and those that had finished their Leaving Cert at the time. We've worked together. We've built great communities of practice that we can all support each other. The ideal thing from the learning from the modules is definitely linking the theory to practice. They go hand in hand. They support us to support each other, support our co-educators, and as well support the parents, that the children get the best outcomes. That's there for us. The modules that we do, as Annette explained, there's plenty of active learning for us as students. It allows us to look at our environments and look at our services. to ensure that we're providing the best we can for the children that we're there for. I have brought personal changes to our service with the support of the team that I work with, and it's benefited the children no end. The group work that we do within the class supports each other. We're all in it together, and that's the most important thing, is as a group that we're there to support each other. It's an ever-changing sector, and the programme that we're in supports us to keep up with the changes within the sector. A couple of the challenges at the beginning, for me personally, was probably IT. It had been a long time since I was in education, but again, there's great support there from the lecturers and the fellow students. From an academic writing point of view, we have the Writing Centre, which is a fantastic facility and would encourage anybody to use it. Another challenge was finding that balance between college, home and work and secondary. And I can honestly say it's probably one of the best decisions I do is to go back and do my degree. And I can see both professionally and personally, it's made me grow. So definitely I'd recommend for anybody that has any queries to go and speak to anybody that's a student and the lecturers there, because the support is there for us all. And basically that's it.
Thank you very much. And I'm butting in here very rudely because I know we're going to run out of time in a few minutes. That was really helpful to get your perspective, Antoinette and Annette. Your presentation was excellent and full of really good details, and especially about the reflective practitioner each year learning to be reflective and improving on one's work. So thank you very, very much for that. I know we've got a few questions. We've had some excellent questions over the last hour. And Annette, there's one here that I think maybe you could answer live rather than typing in the answer. Is it possible to pursue this program without work experience as a mature student?
I am. At the moment, yes. Well, no, she would need to get, or he or she would need to be available to partake in our placement throughout the program. And we would recommend that they go and do maybe a level 5 or a level 6 first, because as a mature student, it's very difficult coming in with absolutely no experience, because it's still the 3-year degree, remember.
Yeah,
for the mature student.
Thank you very much for that. We've got a question here. How would the first block placement take place, before Christmas or after? Now, I'm not sure, are we referring to the early childhood degree here? We'll take it that we are. So would that first block placement be before or after Christmas, Annette?
Well, for us, yeah, the first block placement will be, we're just in the process of developing the calendar for that now, but the first block of placement will be just before Christmas, yeah.
Very good, thank you. And just, I suppose, overall, there were quite a few questions there about, I suppose, how to get into the primary teaching from other degrees. And as Niamh mentioned, it's very competitive to come straight into the primary teaching degree. There's the option of the PME, the postgraduate masters in primary education, that after any degree, it's again competitive, but one can apply. But one would still need the Irish requirements and to meet all the other requirements.
Yeah, and it seems terrible to say, I'm not trying to turn people off, but just if you are thinking of the PMed route, to be aware that it is very competitive, but you must have your Gaeilge and your degree, and then you're absolutely able to apply then for the 2-year PMed, Sheila. But yes, it is quite competitive. I suppose people need to be aware of that.
Thank you for that. There is a note here, I'm just looking through the questions, somebody saying thank you to us, and then is this not discriminating against students that are not born here but on keen on teaching. I presume somebody is referring to the need for the Gaeilge, for the Irish. But these are requirements that are set by the Department of Education, not by Maynooth University. Things may change in the future, but that's how they are now.
And to contact the teaching council, because that they'll guide students who are maybe are candidates who are coming in internationally into Ireland to try and teach. Contact the teaching council, and they have dedicated people who will answer all those questions. Some teachers teach in schools, maybe like a reading school, a specialised reading school without Gaeilge. So there are options, but obviously that's beyond Freville. That would be more a teaching council issue.
Thanks, Niamh. And finally, Annette, there's a question here asking us just to clarify, is the part-time BA in early childhood teaching and learning for a mature student working in the sector, is it a 3-year programme?
The last 3-year programme is beginning in September.
Yes.
From the following September, it becomes a 4-year programme.
Thank you, Annette. Now, I think we've just done very well to put all of that packaged together in an hour. We've answered all the questions and had some excellent presentations. So I'd like to thank everybody on the panel. Thank you, Annette. Thank you, Antoinette. Thank you, Jessie. Thank you, Joseph. And thank you, Niamh. And thank you, Jack. And thank you very much for the audience for participating and asking questions and listening. And there's actually now, across all subject areas, there's what we call a Q&A web chat. Type in any questions about any of our subjects or our degree, and we have about 100 of our lecturers waiting in the wings to type back answers, because I know a few of you here were asking questions about becoming a secondary school teacher of other subjects like English or other degrees. So that would be your arts degree, and then going on to do a postgraduate master's in education afterwards. So feel free to join us for the Q&A live, and then later on at 2 o'clock we have an arts webinar, and we also have a Meet the Students webinar, and that brings us up to the closing time then of 3 o'clock. But for now, from the education degrees, thank you so much to everybody, and bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.